everybody, welcome back to my channel, Colleen C to Serendipity. I'm Colleen, and today is January 16th, 2023, and I would like to bring you this day in history. On January 16th, 1942, actress Carole Lombard, famous for her roles in such screwball comedies as My Man Godfrey and To Be or Not to Be, and her marriage to actor Clark Gable, is killed when a TWA DC-3 plane she is traveling in crashes en route from Las Vegas to Los Angeles. She was 33. Gable and Lombard meet in 1932 during the filming of No Man of Her Own. He was just starting out on his trajectory as one of Hollywood's top leading men, as she was a talented comedic actress trying to prove herself in more serious roles. Both were married at the time. Gable to a wealthy Texas widow 10 years his senior, and Lombard to an actor, William Powell, and either showed much interest in the other. When they met again 3 years later, Lombard had divorced Powell, and Gable was separated from his wife, and things proceeded quite differently. Much to the media's delight, the new couple was open with their affection, calling each other Ma and Pa, and exchanging quirky, expensive gifts. In early 1939, Gable's wife finally granted him a divorce, and he married Lombard that April. In January 1942, shortly after Americans' entrance into World War II, Howard Dietz, the publicity director for MGM Film Studios, recruited Lombard for a tour to sell war bonds in her home state of Indiana. Gable, who had been asked to serve as the head of actors branch of the wartime Hollywood Victory Committee, stayed in Los Angeles, where he was set to begin filming Somewhere I'll Find You with Lana Turner. Dietz advised Lombard to avoid plane travel because he feared for its reliability and safety, and she did most of the trip by train, stopping at various locations on the way to Indianapolis and raising some $2 million for a war effort. On the way home, however, Lombard didn't want to wait for the train and instead boarded a TWA DC-3 in Las Vegas with her mother, Elizabeth Peters, and a group that included the MGM publicity agent Otto Winkler, and 15 young Army pilots. Shortly after takeoff, the plane veered off course. Warning beacons that might have helped guide the pilot had been blacked out because of fear about Japan bombers, and the plane smashed into a cliff near the top of Mount Potosi, P-O-T-O-S-I mountain. Search parties were able to retrieve Lombard's body, and she was buried next to her mother at Forest Lawn Cemetery in Glendale, California, under a marker that read, Carole Lombard Gable. Hysterical with grief and adrift in the empty house he had shared with Lombard, Gable drank heavily and struggled to complete work on Somewhere I'll Find You. He was confronted by worried friends, including actress Joan Crawford. That August, Gable decided to enlist in the Army, in the U.S. Army Air Forces. He spent most of the war in United Kingdom and flew several combat missions, including one to Germany, earning several decorations for his efforts. He would remarry twice more, but when he died in 1960, Gable was interred at Forest Lawn next to Lombard. And I like to bring you another topic in this day in history, because these have been really short, so I'll be right back to bring you another one. Adolf Hitler takes to his underground bunker, where he remains for 105 days until he died by suicide. Hitler retired to his bunker after deciding to remain in Berlin for the last great siege of the war. 55 feet under the Chancelleries, Hitler's headquarters as Chancellor. The shelter contained 18 small rooms and was fully self-sufficient with its own water and electric supply. He left only rarely, once to decorate a squadron of Hitler Youth, and spent most of his time micromanaging what was left of Germany defenses and entertaining Nazi colleagues like Hermann Göring, Heinrich Himmler, and Joachim von Ribbentrop. Constantly at his side during this time were his companions Eva Braun and his Australian and Blondie, that was his dogs. On April 29th, Hitler married Eva in their bunker hideaway. Eva Braun met Hitler while working as an assistant to Hitler's official photographer. Braun spent her time with Hitler out of the public view, entertaining herself by skiing and swimming. She had no disconcertability influence on Hitler's political career, but provided a certain domesticity to the life of the dictator. Loyal to the end, she refused to leave the bunker even as the Russians closed in. Only hours after they were united in marriage, both Hitler and Eva died by suicide. Warned by officers that the Russians were only about a day from overtaking the Chancellery and urged to escape to Berchtesgaden, a small town in the Bavarian Alps, where Hitler owned a home. The dictator instead chose to take his life. Both he and his wife swallowed cyanide capsules which had been tested on their effectivity on their beloved dogs and her pups. For good measure, he shot himself with a pistol. I want to thank you for watching today, and I want you to stay safe and stay blessed. And remember to smile, because I love you, but more importantly, God loves you. And remember, I go live every Saturday night at 5 p.m. Central. That's 6 p.m. Eastern. All right, everybody, stay blessed, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.